It's very fitting that the Boston Bruins play the great Ric Flair's woo after they score a goal, because it was he who said, to be the man, you gotta beat the man, and that's exactly what the Bruins did on Saturday, defeating the defending Stanley Cup champion, Colorado Avalanche.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome to a special Sunday episode of Locked On Boston Bruins. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoked Beat. Today is Sunday, December 4th, and I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins part of your day every day, free and available in your podcast feeds and on YouTube, so please do subscribe if you haven't yet already. If you want to follow the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, you can find it at Locked NHL Bruins, and you can find me, my dad jokes, hockey tweets at ENC McLaren, back after a bit of a week-long hiatus, just to take a bit of a Twitter break. But I was back tweeting during last night's game against the Colorado Avalanche because it was such a doozy. The Bruins coming out on top and establishing themselves as legitimate Stanley Cup contenders. First of all, apologies if you hear any background noise. Apparently there's a new season of Fortnite available, and our middle boy is quite into that at the moment. Bruins defeating I'm recording a episode here on Sunday to recap last night's game because I might not get much of an opportunity to get too deep into it on Monday's podcast, as I will be recording with the fellas from Locked On Vegas Golden Knights to preview Monday's game against Bruce Cassidy and his new club. So, just putting that out there. Bruins, Avalanche, Boston winning 5-1 to increase their record to 20-3 on the season, a perfect 14-0-0 on home ice. David Pastrnak, Trent Frederic scoring 2 goals apiece. Frederic's second goal was an absolute beauty from Taylor Hall. And the Bruins, it's no longer a case of this is a hot start. This is a legitimate Stanley Cup contending team. And yes, the Avalanche were missing some key players. Captain Gabriel Landeskog, Valerie Nichushkin, Bowen Byram on the back end. But despite the fact that Colorado is depleted by injuries, they're still a championship team. They know how to win. They still had Nathan MacKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Cale Makar in the lineup. Jim Montgomery said the Bruins keep playing the right way, and they're getting rewarded for it. Allmark, great in the first period, and the Bruins get a couple goals and really took over in the second period. Now, it was Pastrnak who got the Bruins going with his 58th career game-opening goal, surpassing Rick Middleton for 6th place on the Bruins all-time list, and the most in the NHL since his debut. You know, scoring first is key in the NHL. David Pastrnak does it more than anybody else in today's NHL. He blasted home a one-timer from his left wing circle office after Brad Marchand just put a beautiful pass through the slot over to him. And then later in the second period, Pastrnak secured his 46th multi-goal game with just an exceptional breakaway move on Pavel Francouz, going top shelf where Nona keeps the pasta. Pastrnak said it's fun to be part of something special. Amazing to see the group come together every day to work and be happy and be ready to work for each other. It's a lot of fun right now. And you can see it on the players' faces. They're in it together. They work for each other. The fact that there was some key guys missing to begin the season, Brad Marchand, Charlie McAvoy, other guys had to step up, and we've seen it before. That helps build confidence, and once the team is at full health, these guys who had bigger roles to begin the season just keep playing at that high level. Pavel Zacha is a great example of that. Top six role to begin the season. We all thought he'd be down on the third line once Marchand was back. He's maintaining his second line role with Taylor Hall being bumped to the third line. And it's working exceptionally well for the Boston Bruins at the moment. Before I get to Trent Frederic's amazing performance last night, a quick word from our sponsor, BetOnline, your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get all the latest trends and odds for every professional and amateur league out there, from the World Cup of Soccer to football action today, basketball, hockey, esports. They've got it all at betonline.net. They're the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix in. Head to the website today. Use your mobile device to learn more at BetOnline, where the game starts. Big bear of the night for Saturday, I'm giving it to Trent Frederic. His first multi-goal outing of his young career. He scored on a rebound past Francouz from the doorstep after taking a feed from Charlie McAvoy. And then, like I mentioned off the top, he fired an unbelievable one-timer from a Taylor Hall pass past Francouz to put the Bruins ahead 4-1. It's effectively over at that point. Jake DeBrusk added his 100th career NHL goal shortly thereafter to really seal it. Frederic said, "We're having fun. When you're winning, goals are coming from everyone. And the guys that he plays with have helped him a lot." That would be Taylor Hall, Charlie Coyle. Been great putting confidence in him. And head coach Jim Montgomery has been great about it as well. And he's giving credit to them. A far cry from how he seemingly felt last year under head coach Bruce Cassidy. One of those guys that's pretty clear when they talked about making a change because messaging wasn't getting to some of the young guys. Frederic's it. Afraid to make mistakes. Getting penalized for being penalized for taking penalties. He needed to cut down on that for sure. And Jim Montgomery saying, he's seen progression in Frederic's game for a while. He's got 5 goals, 9 points in 20 games this season after recording 18 points in 60 games last season. So he's on pace for a career year. He is a first round draft pick who has some offensive upside that is perhaps untapped. And we saw that during his university days. He had point per game, University of Wisconsin, even in Providence back in 2018-19, 14 goals in 55 games. He has that extra level that perhaps hasn't emerged yet, or he's been seen more as an agitator. And from where he started in training camp, just keeps getting better. And you're seeing that aggressive mindset offensively now, Jim Montgomery said. Taking pucks to hard areas. And if he doesn't have a play, he's hanging on to it. And they're starting to see that a lot in practice. Apparently, he and Coyle were having lunch Friday. They were talking about how much his confidence has grown, and it popped last night. His first 2-goal game. When he moves his feet, he's a force to be reckoned with, and a lot for defensemen to handle. I mentioned DeBrusk's 100th goal. Looked like he had it earlier in the game, but it was called off because the net came off its moorings. He had gone a couple of weeks without a goal, so he's got that off his shoulders now, and he's happy to contribute like every line did last night. Brad Marchand, in my opinion, a lot of people's opinions, played his best game of the season last night as well, drawing some penalties. 5-on-5 game was strong. He's got 19 points in 15 games. He said it's been a bit difficult to accept that his conditioning and pace is behind many teammates and opponents after missing the preseason and the first few weeks of the regular season. The fact that he's got 19 points in 15 games despite that is pretty scary to think about what might happen when he gets up to full speed. Allmark made 24 saves to improve his record to 14-1, 9-0-0 at home. The 1929-30 Bruins and the 2012-2013 Blackhawks are the only other teams in NHL history to reach 20 wins in 23 games. We all know what happened with the 2013 Chicago Blackhawks. Not saying history is going to repeat itself here, but definitely a good omen. I wanted to shout out Nick Foligno as well, who dropped the gloves. I'm not a huge hockey fighting guy. It's different in 2022, but that was quite a tilt, and he continues to bring it at both ends of the ice for the Boston Bruins. Again, I'm giving Frederic the Big Bear 2 goals, 2 points, +2, 2 shots on goal, a hit. Other standouts included David Pastrnak, of course, with the 2 goals on 7 shots. Charlie McAvoy with another 2-point game. And the Bruins just firing on all cylinders right now as they get ready to host Bruce Cassidy and the Vegas Golden Knights. Again, yes, the Avs are dinged up. It's not a true reflection of the Stanley Cup winning team that dominated in the playoffs last season. Nazem Kadri's not there. You have GT Compher playing second-line center at the moment. But still, the Bruins shut down Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, Mikko Rantanen, and the only goal came off a miscue in the defensive zone where Charlie McAvoy bumped into, I can't remember exactly who it was, Nick Foligno, I think, and Andrew Cogliano getting the goal. As solid a performance as we've seen, and there's no denying at this point that the Bruins are a force, a wagon, whatever you want to call them, legit Stanley Cup contenders, and they'll have another chance to improve their record tomorrow night against the Vegas Golden Knights. Remember, I talked a couple weeks ago about how the Bruins were entering a very tough stretch in their schedule with several games against the Lightning, Colorado, Vegas. They have beat the Lightning twice. They beat the Carolina Hurricanes in overtime. Now they've beaten the Avs. Their only loss in the stretch coming against the Florida Panthers, who are also a good team. Again, Monday's show, I'll be previewing the game with the guys from Locked On Golden Knights. Be sure to keep it locked here on Locked On Bruins for all the latest on the black and gold here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day. Happy Sunday, friends. Off to get a Christmas tree.